Yo! Hello Flutterist, hello Robert, nice to see you again. Ready for the second round today? Hello Flutterist, hello. That worked amazing, fantastic, ready for everything. Cool. So I prepared already everything, so the Flutter website is running. We have down here already with Flutter master channel, and yeah, so the thing is we had a lot of to-dos from the last time that we still have to do. And we wanted to get ready with the Lottie file or fixing the logo, fix the navbar and so on and so forth. So there's still a lot to go. And yeah, so how do we start now? I think, should we start with the Lottie file or should we start with releasing, or what could we beginning with? Fixing the logo? What was wrong with the logo? Ah yeah, because of the font here, I think. We wanted to make that black. So searching for Flutter explained. Here we go. I think here we can change the color from gray to a nice darkish color. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And have that in place. Then this one is a bit more aligned. We can change that later on anyway, because I think that will not be the main color that we have. I searched something, so. Hey Shivam, nice to see you. How are you? And what I also can do is I can share the document again with you. Doc, nice to see you. Hey, a new subscriber, you are always welcome. Welcome to the Flutter Explained family. And this is website, right? So, hey Musa, nice to see you. Okay, so we have some opportunities. I would like to at least manage it to publish the whole application today, if this is somehow possible, so that this website is then findable on mdweber.github.io. So we want to publish it as a GitHub pages. Hey Avi, nice to see you. Where we have currently this page running. And it would be great that we at least have this part running. And maybe what I thought is that we have the footer on the bottom, so that this footer stays the same. And we can also update this footer, because I found out that, for example, the Twitter handle is at the moment dead. Hey, welcome back, Rishabh. I took a look in your application. Maybe we can do also that in the beginning. It was so that is the EDO. So I figured out how to install the APK on an Android device, which is pretty easy. Just have to drag and drop it. Is it? Ah, it's just a splash screen. Yep. And here I'm already logged in. And it seems that this is a school app, if this is right? So what I really liked is this navigation down on the bottom with the home, main, and so on. Looks pretty cool. So thank you for sharing that with us. It's really cool. Well done. Okay. So what do you think, guys? Should we start with the deployment and try to upgrade this website a little bit so that we bring the footer inside and then push the whole thing up to our GitHub pages? For that, That's great. As I said, I was really impressed. You came very far already. I really like that, especially that the I was really surprised. Also, the login and everything works very well. I tried that already around. So well done there. Enjoy your Overwatch, Robert. I stopped with playing Overwatch because my aiming is really bad. So at the moment I still play League of Legends, where I try to get my scores, but also more weak than good. Alright, so we have that in place. Also, what I would like to fix is that navigation part up there, but we will do that also, because at the moment you see we have this gap here, which I really don't like. I have also to search there a better solution. Okay, but first let's try to push the whole thing. Yeah, but that is normal. I think if we are working alone on a project, then of course we will take some time for managing the stuff, right? Okay, so for that I will check out master quickly. Wait, I have to publish the changes that we had. So we changed the font color of our logo. Up. And I have to switch the screen up here. Fantastic. Hey, welcome Sava, Exaxa. Hope you are ready for the second stream today. So I switched now to master channel, and on master we have still the old screen. So this part here with our nice little animal and all the other parts. And what I want to do is now getting this footer bar, because I like that at the moment, and maybe we can reuse that. And what I also did is we created, I don't know if you have ever seen that, but this was my first check with more hot. I'm using. Yeah, it's getting quite hot. Sorry. I've bought myself a ventilator system for the macOS so that it doesn't heat it up so fast. So, and we have the Frank loading spinner. This is that part, and this down here. And I would like to take both of them into the redesign. So let's get everything here. That is the story block dependency that we don't have anymore. Okay. So where do we get that home screen? I think here I have the interview row. Don't know what that is. And here we have the footer, and this is a widget. Fantastic. And this is what I want. So for that I will swap the redesign again with the copy. And here inside we have currently the home screen, and the footer bar will be part of the home screen at the moment. I don't know if I will have that on every screen or how I will manage that, but at the moment I would just keep it here. So this is a footer.dart. Or can I copy that actually? No. No, it doesn't seem like to work like that. Sad. So the problem is we created a branch and we have that completely outside of the master branch. So what I will do now, and I know you actually shouldn't do that. Hey Arvin, nice to see you. Long time no see. That's good, you are very busy at the moment, I can imagine. How's work going? So what I want to do is I would like to finally merge it into master, that we have all our changes on the master branch. Because at the moment I think our app got already a pretty good state. And how can we do that? For that we go to github.com. Oh, I'm also logged in. Fantastic. German chef app. Oh, please let me know. Sounds very interesting. So is it about food or what is the idea? Not safe recipe, Flutter explained website it is. And here we have our pull request that we can create. And let's have a look. It is able to merge into master. With that we should have then all the changes inside that we have done so far. So let me just quickly have a look. We removed some stuff, adding some themes and so on. Yeah, so that should be everything that we have created. It's getting now a first very big PR, so homepage is ready. Or a homepage redesign. Oh, that sounds like a very good idea. Can imagine that is very needed here in Germany. So I will create that PR. So, and it will contain all our changes. The only thing is what I'm thinking will be a bit bad is that we remove also all the stuff that we had beforehand. So for example, the whatever an interview screen is, but also that part with Frank and URL launcher and so on and so forth. So we will have to recreate that. But that should be okay for now. Because what I will do is I will get them back. This is an enhancement. Assignee will be myself. And I think with that we can merge the whole thing. What I will do mostly is I will not merge it like this. I will make a squash and merge. Yes, I used it, Rishab. I also created a video for the qubit. I really like that. It was a fantastic solution, and it uses a lot of the state provider, I think. So it's pretty cool. So we squash and merge, and what happens there is we squash all these commits into one at the end. So that means we can delete here the messages and can just write one line, which will be then like created or updated the redesign of the website. Then we confirm and squash. And the benefit of that is that at the end, if we are going to the code and we are on the master channel, you can see it is only one commit message and we don't have to search in all that stuff. And because it is our first commit now, since we started with the redesign, it is quite useful to have just one commit for all that stuff. So what I do is usually rebase to the current branch with the incoming changes, because I swapped now to the master branch, and I update everything. We fetch, it can take a while. And what else is we remove the old branch. And I delete also the tracked branch. Good. Rebase puts your history on top of it, and merge tries to bring it into one. So if you, for example, merge, then you create a new commit where you merge everything inside and you get it together, while rebase puts it on top of it, more or less. So for the update, it is no problem, but for everything else, it is quite useful to know. Hey Ayush, nice to see you around. Ayush, I have a question for you, especially. I hope you have time. My current PR that I have still on Flutter, how vigorous do you test if someone is reading the stuff that you do? Because I'm always afraid to push it too much, but on the other hand, I would like to merge it from time to time. So I started to reach out to some people who could watch my PR, more or less. So how vicious you are there? Or is there a process how to poke to the right people there? Do you know something? I don't know how to say it nicer. Can be done. Fantastic. And here we have now all that stuff. And we should have... Exactly. So we have now our home screen here and the widget with the responsive design. All right, perfect. So in the hackers channel. I was not sure in which channel because there are so many, and so I was a bit afraid. But that is a good idea, I think. So I will do that. So, thank you. And here is working now everything, but what I want to do is I want also to get back my previous stuff. On the other hand, Xaxa and Ayush, we have to be careful, right? Because they had a lot of problems with their pipeline in the moment, in the last couple of weeks. So it is okay if it takes a while. I think the amount of PRs has also increased incredible. So if you take a look into the pull requests, they are currently at 161. So I just think a lot of them have backed up. And if you're checking for your PR, my one got yesterday green. So finally the build pipeline was green enough so that all checks are passing, which took a while. So most likely they had there some problems and that's why it took a while. Okay, so we have these infos now, and what I want to do is wanting to get back the information about my navigation, my footer. So what I will do is, and this is what I always recommend, is if you are going to your lib folder, you have inside of Android Studio or IntelliJ the possibility of local history. The same thing you have also in Visual Studio Code, but there you have to install an extension for that. Is there a way to check all the tests before sending a PR? You mean locally or you mean a pipeline? So you have both ways. Of course, there are possibilities to check all the tests. No worries, that's fantastic. I like questions, then I can answer something. It's better than just quiet sitting here around and wait till someone says something. So what I will do is, as you can see in the local history, if I'm going here to update from CVS, we find here that some files have been deleted. Like for example the widgets footer, which I want to keep. So I revert this selection and say add. And the same thing for URL launcher, which opens up our file. And for all others, I think they can be gone, but Frank loading I want to keep, because I think my first animation that I ever created, I shouldn't delete that. Okay, now this will be a bit red, because I assume that... okay, and our analyzes options complain a little bit. This is a string, and... or at least I thought it is a string. Try removing the extra argument can launch string URL. Huh? The argument dynamic can't be as... oh, okay, so the problem is up here. So, way better. And this one has no return parameter, I think, so that will be void. And it needs to be future of void. Yeah, so you see we have a lot of problems with the assets, and as I said, this was my first animation, so don't be too angry against it. I tried to implement anything here, and so I created 3 animations that are 3 circles, and they jump in different amount of seconds. So with that we got this nice little animation here, which looks like, well, like a guy, so I called it Frank. Alright. So we have the footer now, and also here we have some problems, but that is fine. I think this one can be a const. What is here? Also a const, fantastic. Sure, Rife is always a possible solution, and I really hope that we can work with it, because the new version of Rife is just amazing, and they built everything in Flutter. So there's finally an app that is created fully in Flutter, at least the beta release, and I requested a beta access so that we can show it maybe in a live stream or anything. That would be really cool. And Rife is of course always an option, because I really like the animations from there, and they are super easy to use. Okay, but for now I will keep Frank just to see how it is created, and because, yeah, as you see, it was not my cleanest work with all that copy and paste stuff, and like 3 times the same thing and so on. But yeah, let's see. So we have here a const, then the light blue. Yeah, it is quite difficult to create assets, but what I usually do is I create my assets from another place, and then I import them into Rife. And after that I will give it bones and make it movable and so on. But I really, from till now, I'm really happy with it. So, and I will just take that color here, because then we can replace this with a const too. Always save performance whenever possible, right? So, same thing for these colors here. If it is boring what I'm doing here, just tell me, then we can also jump to something else, just to make it a bit cleaner. No worries, take your time. Green primary value is this one, fantastic. So now we can also change the problematic things, like here is it Max Miracle, which is at the moment Flutter Expo, I think. We should make that also a bit possible. I think it makes no sense to keep that down here. It would be better to have that as a field somewhere, like a Twitter URL, and put that on the whole top here. Make it even a const, I think. So just that we have the we have an easier access to them if we have to change them later, and because it changes frequently, it makes sense to put them somewhere else. Voila, getting the YouTube URL, which is also a const. It requires any good questions. I have no idea. I just made that very quickly. So yes, const is a very good practice and improves the runtime of Flutter in general. So whenever you can use const, it is very faster. There are very good articles. I don't know right away which one, but that explains the whole const features. And I think in my first beginnings, when I didn't use the const, I got yeah, I can also show the linting. Wait, I had a discussion with Simon Lightfoot on Twitter around this const stuff, and I was ashamed that I was trying to talk like I knew something with Simon Lightfoot. Yeah, we use currently the lint package that has Dominic with created, and I think some other guys. The only thing is that I disabled is the prefer single and double quote, because I'm pretty bad with that. Yeah, it was a pretty bad idea. But you know, if you are coming new to the network of Flutter and so on, you don't know the big people, right? So I just asked him if const is really the best idea to use, and he said, yeah, it is. Don't ask questions. And so the responsive widget that we created doesn't need any child. That is correct, I think. Because how we created this responsive widget is that we have 3 different children, more or less. So we have the small screen, tablet screen, and large screen. And large screen is always the default. But what you mean is that we should maybe make this one here a required. So that we automatically have at least one screen size represented here. You're very welcome. Also, do you use the static accessor of is large screen accessor? So you mean these ones? At the moment I don't use them, that's true, so we could make them private. But yeah. The question is more, do we use them in the future? But yeah. Another Flutter YouTuber, yeah. Robert and me are very close to each other, so that's perfectly fine. There are a lot of YouTubers at the moment around, I think. So in the next couple of days, I would like also to work together with the Harris. Happy Harris is his name, I think. He's also a Flutter YouTuber from Singapore. Also a very fancy guy. Really like him. So is large screen we never use, so we could also remove that. Would remove. Oh, like that. Hey Stefan, nice, no worries. Yeah, Robert, do that. If you have a good idea, then I will revert my changes and let's see what your PR is. Then we can check against that. No, that sounds perfectly fine. I wanted to have them public, but I don't know why anymore. So I think it was just that I don't have to write it in specific places anymore. So there were more questions, or I don't want to overrule someone. Did I miss someone? Essentials, using const. Which analyzer settings? Yeah, Ayush, I think we answered them, hopefully. Okay, so exactly the footer. So we have updated that, and I want to get rid of the getting the constants up, so that we can reuse that in the different places. Yep. So this will be the GitHub handle. No worries, take your time. We have all the time of the world. And GitHub URL. By the way, whenever you have the interest to work on that stuff with, feel free, right? So I think I have to add a license MD or something to it, but that will come in the future, no worries. So this is devtio or the block URL in that case. So check block URL. Yep, I'm bringing that up. And this is const. Fantastic. So what I see here is that we have 4 times that icon button. And the problem is we anyway would give all these things inside, so it is a good practice. I think that's good enough. So that should do the trick. And this footer we can now use, for example, in our home screen. And there the question isn't only how do we add that it sticks on the bottom. And I think what I did there was like creating a spacer for it. And then we have the footer down here. Something like that. Good, footer we have to import, and spacer can have a const, yep. And I think I make a comma here so that we have that ordered. So, and with that, we push more or less whatever space is in between, we push that on the bottom. And now we could add some padding surrounding it. But with that, we have the possibility to click here and we get navigated to another page. I don't know why it's opening up. Yeah, because it's currently on a Mac OS, so it's just opening up the default browser for us. Which is fair enough, I think. And what I will do is giving this container a padding. Is it all? Yeah, why not? And giving like 20. No, we make it a multiple of 8, so it's 16. And this can be a const. How is it possible to avoid white screen that pops up at the beginning of the app? Yep, that is possible. You call for a splash screen, I think. So the splash screen is more or less what you want. So if it is loading up, like your Flutter application loads up, you will show a logo or an animation or anything like that. And what you have to search for is splash screen Flutter. And there you come to an flutter.dev where you get the information how to get the different screens or timings of the screens. And you will have to create an activity for that stuff. So it is a bit more complex and you will go more into iOS and so on. But I think I will make sooner or later a video for that because I think that would be a very interesting topic to cover. So maybe I should, we should add that to our open video list, right? So let me open video, I think. Was it this way? A curved navbar. Curved navbar. No, I have no experience with the curved navbar, Arvin. Is it a widget from pub.dev or curved navbar? This guy? I think Flutterist has used it, or? It looks very familiar. So, and in our open video list, where you can also add your topics, so if you have some topics, we can add them here. And the idea is now the splash screen. And where would be a splash screen best located? Is it an off topic? Maybe. Flutter package, different codecs. Can't seem to get text. Okay. So I add that here, splash screen. Yeah, well, I've never used it, but maybe Flutterist can help you, Arvin, hopefully. You can't seem to get text. Okay, so have a look. How does the app look like? Like this. Okay, padding is a bad idea. It is not padding. It is, of course, margin. Yeah, way better. Cool. The question is now, it is black, right? It's very dark. So it, I don't know, it interferes with the design of the app from the page, I think. So our design gets a bit humbled, and I think if AKS comes back, he will complain about it. He don't like that. No worries. But I think for now it's good, and we can then still improve it. So we added our footer. And yeah, that's it. So fair enough. I work on master. That's bad. How can I do that now? Let's push that. Can you please... Hey, I had a problem with radio list tile. When I selected any of them, the color of the subtitle changed rather than the radio button. Getting selected any clues on what I made missing. Let's have a look. I don't know the radio list tile class so good at the moment. So we have these two. I have a missing browser feature. Alright. And what is your problem? Radio list tile. When I select any of them, the color of subtitle changes rather than the radio button getting selected. Yeah, very hard. Could you maybe share a gist with the problem? Then we can maybe discuss it and talk about it. But I can imagine that most likely there is a set state or something that could be a problem. So if you select something... Yep, no worries, no rush. Okay, so I made a bad mistake and pushed to master, but that's okay for now. Hey, Ayush Bizen, nice to see you. And now, instead of, or now that we have it this far, I would like to start this whole thing once in the Chrome browser. And why I want to do that is just to check if anything is working still. Downloading the web SDK. Yeah, Lucius, hey, you are a new face. Never seen you. How are you? Yeah, it's a lot of Ayushs. It's a famous name, I think. It's very, very common. Does it stand for something? Like, is Ayush meaning something? So we see the rotation works. This stuff down here works. We have the only thing is that the logo is not visible. At least not at the first time. Maybe it's coming at the second time. No. Oh, there is also some problems. Coughed image resource service. Okay, so this is a problem of the home screen navigation bar. And there up here we call for the assets. And I think he complains that he can't find that path. Yeah, here we go. Hey Mananda, I saw your message already. We have, you can add that to the document that we have with the open videos. It means H. H? Really? That's interesting. So, cool. What I right now see is that this stuff here is not aligned, and it drives me crazy that this part is so close on the edge and here we have so much space in between. So I would say we push the whole thing a little bit to the left on that area. So the question is now just where we have and how large the screen is. So in home content, or home screen, we have the width here, and then this Jumbotron gets some spacing, I think. Okay, so here we have a padding of 72, and I think we need exactly this padding here also for the navigation bar. Yep, so that we have some space there. So const, this will be only, I think. This is exactly how I work, you know, if I learn something in a new language, I always it's like I'm rolling. Oh, that was not the right thing, right? So close enough. Oops. How can we add that? This will be this row, and in this row we have that Flutter Explained logo, and this one needs to get pushed a little bit to the left. So I think we can add here a padding. Child, we give that a padding, edge insets dot only left 27. And of course a const. Oh, I hope you don't. It's quite loud, I can imagine. Sorry for that. So, and now this is a little bit more aligned. Not completely, but I think we have to find a better solution for that than just pushing pixels everywhere. But Something like that. Is Ayush the same thing like Ayush? I hope so. So we made some small fixes in the navbar. Yes, Flutter Web is still in beta, and I think they made some huge performance improvements in the last couple of weeks. At least there were some news on Twitter that I saw. So I have currently some hopes. And what I want to do now, after I've created all that, you know, the thing is we want to push this web here to another repository. If we check out where this GitHub pages lives, so we have github.com. And I don't know if you have ever worked with GitHub pages. I created there also a video, but you have an own repository that is stated like your own name and with .github.io on the end, so like this. And with that you have here your web project, more or less, that you find if you are searching for mdw github.io. So this page is more or less in this GitHub repository. So if we push it now up here, we will automatically receive a new website here in GitHub pages. And this is now the idea. So what we will do is we will build our Flutter app web as a release product. So let's see how we can do that. Release build and web maybe. So configure Flutter tool, creating requirements. All right, creating a new project. I want to build it. Flutter build web, and we can do that I think also with release, or build and release a web app. Minification, building the app for release. So Flutter build web command, this generates the app, okay. Okay, so we're just building it with the Flutter build web. What do we have down here? PWA support. Okay, it will be automatically a PWA support, right? Flutter-based PWEs can be installed in the same way as the other PWEs. The settings signal that provided in manifest JSON, which is produced by Flutter create in the web directory. All right, so we go down here and say Flutter build web, and let's see what happens. So we see that it compiles now the main.dart into the web, and usually we get now a folder called build. And inside here we have the web folder. That's good. At least the language is still not more confusing than it should be. I think the only Indian word that I really know is naan, which is bread, right? And everything else is pretty hard. And this is only because it is the same word like in many other languages in the Asian region. So what I want to do now is we want to push more or less these information, so this folder here with the web, up to our server or to GitHub pages. And what I will do for that is I want to go to the terminal, and here inside we go to the build folder, searching for the web. And now here inside all of these files should be added to another remote. So git remote, we have origin here, but now I want to remote add. In our case, the remote from our GitHub.io part. So I add this part. Oops, did I miss something? Git add remote. Yeah, always that stuff with the remote. So how git remote add and then the branch. Git remote add. I have to name the remote. Yeah, that was something. Oh, I really want to visit India. Alone for the food. I would drive crazy for the food. I love Indian food. And I love spicy, so that would be my absolute dream. So git remote add, and then we need and the problem is most likely that the food that we eat here in Europe from India is absolutely not the same like the Indian food itself, because I think you eat way more spicy. And probably would die. So git remote add web remote, and then we add this part. Git remote, and can I list this stuff? I thought, how does listing work? That I see all. Just push it. Okay, fantastic. And now we want to git commit m. Is it that way? So let me check. I will pull once more. Can I do that here inside? No. So this folder, what I will do is I will git remote v. What is it? Git remote v? Oh yeah, that shows me the difference. Fantastic. So and now I would like to push it to one remote. So I need your help still because I'm really bad in terminal git. But what I think is git add all or git add dot, right? With that I add all. The following paths are ignored by one of your git ignore files. Okay, that makes sense. So how do we get that stuff up now? I can exclude it from git ignore, but that would be a bad idea, I think. Can we open the whole thing up in the Finder? Yep, bring that to the side, get down. So down here we have the web folder now. And what I will do now, or what I will try, is I will just open that folder up in an own project. Maybe this works better. So we go to the, I think that will be my IDEA projects when I find it, down here. And here we have the website, we have build, we have web, and let's open that up in a new window. So, and all that stuff, that is the best idea. So much time. Fantastic, Robin. I'm looking forward that you see that. And this is, I think, the best idea thing, Rishabh. We just clone our stuff here into an own project and then just copy everything over. So let's create, I think VCS, then we say more. Let's do it with shortcuts, clone. We get this new part here. Get a new file, fantastic, clone. From Google moderator deleted? Sorry, Robin, I don't know what happened there. Never happened before. I didn't even know that I have a Google moderator team. So we passed everything inside, so we override for all. Click, all right, we add all that stuff. And now we're just pushing that stuff onto master. So updated the Flutter explained website or GitHub pages. So, and you see, this is now deployment, right? So we can do that always by hand and copy that stuff and so on and so forth. But as we do now, we miss maybe some stuff. And this leads to problems in the worst case. So usually we do that with a CI/CD, and therefore something like CodeMagic comes into play. And I don't know if they already support web, but sooner or later we would take a look into it if this is possible for us, so that we build our stuff with that CI/CD automatically, and then we push all that information directly onto our web server. So we don't have these problems that we have to move the files around or something like that. But what I want to check, if I update this now, we see now 40 seconds ago, everything updated. And what happens now if I reload this page? Nothing. So I think this is a common problem with this GitHub IO stuff. It will take a while till it's updated. Here we go. And if I refresh the website completely, it works. So finally, we have that a little bit more cleaner, and we have here more possibilities. I will share that link with you. It works for Flutter Web. Fantastic. 2 minutes. What do you think, guys? I will create a poll for that if we should create now a CI/CD or work further on our website, I think. So let's see, CloudBot up. Then we can decide what we want to do. But yep, it would be fantastic to have the stuff ready. So here we add a poll that would be, what should we do next? CI/CD. That would be with CodeMagic, I think, because it's the easiest. CodeMagic, or the other thing would be coding. I add also writing tests because we have already some logic that we could test. This is a duplicated entry. Wow. I should really train more. Jumbotron is done, but Lottie would be interesting. Then code, yeah, CI/CD, CodeMagic. Then we have, what was the other thing? Maybe writing tests. And last but not least, just code further. So, creating the poll, and now it's your time. You can vote now, and I drink in the meantime coffee. We can also work with GitHub Actions, but I think we would use CodeMagic. I think that would be the, let's say, easiest way to implement CI/CD. I also added the Lottie part because I think the last time some people asked for Lottie. Because if you have not seen the design for this website that we created for the last time, it will be this one. So the idea was that we have on the right side this SVG from Undraw, this one. And for this SVG, we would use maybe Rive or Lottie file to get such a file down and get like a pulse animation or anything on the right side. That would be also a possibility. So let's vote. Stefan voted for code. All right, so 1 vote. It was you? Did I miss anything? Lottie file. Okay, perfect. So we have 1 vote for code. Two votes for code. All right, 3 votes for code. It's more than I thought. Close enough, Musa. In the meantime, I take a short look what we anyway have still to do. Someday. No, I think you have to make exclamation mark vote. You spelled it wrong with C. And also I wanted to ask you another thing. So at the moment we keep track of our tasks and things inside of this document, right? If you remember. And I wanted to... That is true, Stefan. That is absolutely true. And I wanted to ask you if we want to maybe put inside of Flutter Explained website into the projects part, and we maybe start a project where we have tasks inside of it, so we can keep easier track of that. If you would like that a bit more. Yeah? Let's see. Fantastic. Projects are the best. Good idea. Okay. So I'm happy that you see it the same way. So I will create the project maybe right away. Website redesign. Don't any descriptions. And for the template, I will just use a basic Kanban. And then I think it's easier for everyone to follow up. And even if we have some newcomers who follow the stream or joining the stream, they can just take a look here in the projects and see right away what we are working on. So I don't know if I will do that now, but I think for the future I can do that offline or outside of the stream, and then we put them together here inside. All right, so I think I closed the poll at the moment. So we have currently 3 votes. Does anyone want to add something to the voting? You get 5 more minutes or 2 more minutes. Don't do it too long. And then we have also to decide what we want to do next. So the home screen is more or less finished, right? So we have the possibility, no, we have to create this animation, or at least that element on the right side. So what I will do is, as soon as we have finished the poll, would be that we say we get to Undraw and we download the undraw.co, which is my favorite website for illustrations. If you don't know it, here is the link. So if you jump inside of it, you find all the different fantastic illustrations that are completely for free usage. So you can use them in your brand and everything. The only thing that is not allowed is that you sell them yourself and tell that everyone that they are yours, which makes sense somehow. And I think we searched for code here, and then we found this code thinking, and I think that would be a fantastic one for us. So is there anything else that we could use? No, I think that's good. So we would use that code thinking part here, and I downloaded it as an SVG. Not as an SVG, sorry, because I think we have some problems there. Oh, you're welcome. We downloaded it as a PNG, so we don't have to take care, because I think the SVG doesn't work at the moment in Flutter Web, at least yet. I think that's why we added this to do up here. So there is an open issue. We can have a look there if something has changed. No, it's still open. That is absolutely true, Stefan. I think that would be a good idea. Maybe also like every hour comes a new poll or something. That was at the moment my thinking that we can maybe do, so that everyone has a chance to talk with. No, absolutely fine. I like that, because I need to improve, right, every time. So if you have some ideas how we can do it better, let me know. That's the idea. Okay, so if this is okay for you, I would now start by getting this undraw image somehow on the right side, because at the moment we have only that Jumbotron ready, and we have up here that navigation bar ready, more or less. And now we would get here that undraw image. So let's have a look. We have the hero content, and I think we already created this hero image part. I think my coffee is anyway empty, so it's just the last sip inside. So, lost. And as you see, the hero image here is currently just a container, so there is nothing inside. And this we want to change with that image. So the easiest way would be to create an asset for it, right? Which we have anyway with the images. And what do we have here? Here is the logo and the background image and another background. And now we want to add our new undraw image. For that we go to the Finder, search the downloads. So we have that. So you see I have a lot of different downloads, but this is the right one. So this is the code thinking. And I add that. And what I also want to do, because I use the undraw a lot and I always try to be nice to people who offer me great solutions, I will right away go to the README and add, at least down here, something like special thanks and say to the undraw team, and add the link to the undraw. Voila. So everyone knows, whoever comes to that page, that he knows that the undraw team gets the illustrations from, so that they get that credit. I think that is just fair. So we use the code thinking and we jump right away into the home hero animation up here, or hero image is the name. And inside of our container, and I think we don't even need a container, but we will see, we use the asset with the path to our asset. And because we imported in our pubspec.yaml the assets images, so we have all the assets inside here, we can directly go to assets/images/code thinking. And now you see already that because of our analysis options, this container gets yellow wiggly because it is not necessary, so we can directly remove it. So, and this will already update our website. So if we go here, not here, we have to start that back on macOS. Well, I will do that because macOS is a bit more stable, but it contains more or less the same responsive behavior like every other thing will do it. Yes, so this is our linting. So you remember we added the last time inside of our main file this analyzes options. Oops, sorry. This analyzes options with this package lint analyzes option. And if we jump here inside, oh, we can't, sorry. Then this linting will show us, for example, because that linter package does not allow that a container that is completely unnecessary is above it. So then we get a message that says avoid unnecessary containers. And we can even open up the documentation and we find this linting file here. And it tells us exactly, okay, this is the rule that we can override. And then it says this is bad and this is good because we don't need the container here actually. So this linting stuff is really great for such stuff that you keep track of that, because this is what sometimes happens, that you just have that code around which just is expensive more or less if you don't need it at all. And this code thinking is, I think, a PNG. So we can also add that and hot reload. All right, so it is already there, which is good. And I think as an SVG, it would look even better because the white background would be not there. But because it is just a PNG, we have to work a little bit graphically. And what this means is this PNG has a white background. And this is actually a problem for us. So I will open that here up and open it with Adobe Photoshop in my opinion, in my case. You can use any graphical tool. The only thing is what I want to do is want to remove the background, the white background here, and just make it opacity 0 so that we can see through it. And because it is anyway a PNG, it should be no problem. So for that, I go to that lock. Now we have that layer unlocked. And I can select this magic wand tool, or even better, go to select and say color range. And now you see we select everything which is in white, because I select here white. And if I press now OK, everything that is white is getting selected and we can remove it. And now you see all that other stuff is now opacity 0, so we can look through it. And if we now say export as a PNG again, we can override the code thinking PNG in our file system, replace it, and I will save that for now. Close that off. And if we are going back here, we can see that it's getting removed. And I hot reload that once more. And now it looks already different. The only problem is now, because I would like to have that white stuff somewhere, but not everywhere. So we have to make there a little bit more work than just removing it. But this is just an idea how you can do something like that. So it looks not completely right at the moment, but we have it already scalable. So you see it's getting smaller. With that, it's kind of responsive. A lot of distortions. Oh, that's bad. I got a really good connection. Actually, it says this to me. The quality is good. There is sometimes a warning that there is a problem with the bitrate. I could check that quickly. Sorry for that. So here, output. No, it seems good. Sorry, Ayush. Everything is okay. Everything is okay. So I don't want to say it, but it seems on your on your side. Okay, so refreshing the page, it is always the best. Fantastic. Okay, so we get some problems if we are moving too fast, I assume. So, no, if we are getting too small, now you see we get this overflowed by pixel. And here in the future, after after we get the update from Robert, we will change that. So as soon as we have the update, we can also work on the responsiveness of the site. So that means we created this responsive widget, and depending on the responsive widget, we could change how this page completely behaves, right? Another thing that I would like to fix sooner or later is up here, the header override, right? Because also here that could be in a flexible box. But in general, it looks already pretty, not too bad, I would say, for a website. Here, this image, I will I think I will do that off screen. Or are you interested how I fill out now the white spaces here again? Because especially here and here, I would like to keep the white, and also here. Or should we right away go further? Cool, really happy with it. So the next thing that I would like to do, and where we have to think about, is we want to get our block somehow inside of here. So if you, or should we maybe fix first the navigation bar? Clean look. What means clean look? So you are happy how it looks at the moment. So one problem that we had already the last time is that up here we have that navigation bar, and because currently we are using a margin for it, we cut off that image up here a little bit. And that is not good for me. Resizing this, less is more, that's true. So yeah, min and max is always a good idea, but if you, I don't know if you have seen the responsive widget yet, we have these 3 possible screens. And what we are doing is, if we are coming into a certain amount of size, I would say, then we will automatically change to a different screen. And this has the benefit that we can reassign the different orders, how they look. So for example, if we go to home screen, we can see we have here a large screen with a column. And what would happen if we add now here, for example, the other one? So let's have a tablet screen, for example, and we would make directly also a column. Makes this sense? Yeah, but without the home content, does it has, yeah, so we have the Jumbotron and the hero animation. And here we could say something like, okay, we use, from here on, we use the hero image. Voila. And the other part is the Jumbotron. Underneath each other directly. So without all that home content or navigation bar, and we could also remove the navigation bar in that case. So if we go back to that and we are getting smaller after a certain amount, so, and in my case it is a bit too early, you see right away that the screen changes. At the moment it's getting pretty broken, which is quite funny. On the other side, we have it that in the mobile screen, it's automatically dropping back to the large screen, which is also pretty interesting. So that means because we don't support the mobile screen, it will fall back there. But as I said, I will improve that more whenever Robert is finished, if he's adding it to our stuff. There is a white screen before the splash screen. I thought in that splash screen tutorial there is also part of how you get rid of that. What is about the responsive framework? I think it will work exactly. PR is up, fantastic. I think it will work nearly the same like we do it at the moment. So it uses also max width and min width, and then you decide which is the sizes. And we are doing more or less exactly the same thing. So if you check in the responsive widget, we are working also here with the different sizes. Let's see what Robert did now for us. So if we're checking the pull requests, okay, too large for mobile, we will display that. Okay, so you turned it around, mobile first solution, that's fine. And what we can see here is now Robert started in the home screen, he used the mobile body and said this is the standard, and with that he overrides it, and he gave it also a K and improved it with doubles. Fantastic. We have this part where mobile is now required. That's fantastic. We're happy with that. These are free widgets. I think there nothing has changed really, right? We had that also somewhere. Yep, up there. And inside of this if else, we have now demands max width and at different breakpoints. Yeah, I can also do that. That would be, I think, here, and then we have split. Yep. It's always good to work with GitHub from time to time. And the good thing is in GitHub you can also click on this viewed, so you know that you have controlled it already. And then you see, okay, we have now these desktop breakpoints and tablet breakpoints, and I like it that you named it after what are the different breakpoints. And we have now this parts, and here we set this, and that should work fine. And you wrote even a test. Fantastic. So with that we are sure that everything is working there. And I would say we take a look into the tests as soon as we have merged it. Then we have it also locally on the IDE, and it looks a bit better, and then we can talk about it. So I accept these changes. Well done. Because we don't currently run it with our continuous integration, we can't see if the test has passed. But I hope if when we integrate it, then we will see here also that the tests are running fine and everything works. Yeah. So because Robert don't has any allowance at the moment to merge anything, I will do that for you. I hope this is okay. And yeah, let's merge that. And with that, we have it now in our code base. So make responsive widget mobile first. And here inside of our master, we just make it with Command T now, and we update our informations with the commit. So let's see if everything still works the same. Update that. Yeah, so everything is still present. That's fantastic. And now inside of our testing, we have the responsive widget test here. And first of all, I want to test if everything works. We get a warning, but I think we can ignore that. And somehow I also started it in a debugger, which is quite heavy for that. Run. Oh, it's automatically started in a debugger. Okay, but all the different tests are running fine, so this is already good. But what happens if we take a look what he has done? So he created a test widgets with the description, and then we get a tester inside of this test function, which is asynchronous. And then inside he set this tester window size to a different size, the physical size. So this is just a test value, and the device pixel ratio. He added a tear down. A tear down means when we are finished with the test, then it's getting cleaned up. And I think this is that add tear down here. So it's the opposite of setup, more or less. And after that, he pumps a widget, which is a material app widget with our responsive widget. And we have 3 different bodies here in that part. And then what happens is he created a finder, which finds us the mobile text and tests now if, or he expected, there's this text that he finds is exactly one widget. It is a basic test, but what he also could do is to check which text is inside or something. So that's fantastic. And this he created for all 3s, and so the tests are green. And as you can see, the sizes are always different. So I hope this makes sense, because else we can once more talk about it. To validate it, you can switch out find text. So this part here. So if we are searching for desktop text here in the first responsive widget, then it should fail. That was quick, yeah. So expected exactly one match in the widget tree, which is not there. So what happens now is unfortunately we failed completely. So the test is not only failing, we get an exception for that, because what happens is inside of our test, if we are jumping back, this find part here cannot find this test stop which part. And if you jump here in that text finder, you will see that it will throw, where is it? When it doesn't find anything, it will throw an error. Don't know where that was, but this is what happens. The difference, or why it is good that we say responsive mobile first, is because it is usually way easier to implement all your features inside of a desktop, because you have a lot of space, you don't have to care about all that stuff. And I think mobile first was an invention, I would say, a couple of years ago. And what it says is you should try to bring everything first on a mobile screen, and if you managed it to have it mobile, then you expand to the bigger, larger screens, because this is usually the easier way. So you have it easier on a desktop, but it is way harder to have it mobile. So, but I'm pretty happy with it, and actually I'm happy that you created some tests for it, so I don't have to do it. But maybe we should write also more tests inside of our application, because at the moment we don't do that very often. So we get a diamonds. Ah, you use the layout builder. Fantastic. This is a good thing. I don't know if I did that too. Anyway. Good. So what's next? So what do you think, guys? What should we work next on? All right, so it's good you create a test for both of us. I think the initial idea with that responsive widget I got from Phil Stacks, I think, and I really liked it. I was really happy that something like that existed. Okay, so we have that in place, we have that done. And I wanted to ask, what should we do next? I mean, we already managed it to push it up, right? I really don't like this navigation problem up here, that this is not really a stack here. Or should we create different screen sizes now? That we say, okay, if you are getting smaller, we make it also possible that it is responsive. And you know, this is a question that I can't answer, so let's go back to our polling system and let's see what you guys think. I poll now everything, you see. So that would be navigation. Writing some tests. What do we have else open? I think we could create an animation here for, so that would be also something that we can do. Or we can implement something like the contact us, so we could search for a package, then can take that for us. Or responsiveness. That bottom black bar maybe should be a specific width on desktop, so it doesn't cover the whole button. Yeah, maybe also in that area, right? So that we have this padding on the left, on the right. Maybe we also should, instead of having a padding, we should have like that content part. So everything inside has the part of the content, and on the left, on the right is space for that. So at the moment, this is everything a bit wacky. So you see, here we don't align it, and also here we have way fewer space than we have it on that side. So it would be better that our content has a specific width that it has for the whole content, would be also important. Okay, so you know what? Let's start. Let's start with that. Let's fix up that screen size, because I think we have to anyway do it sooner or later. So this would be now the option. So inside of our mobile body, this is okay. But actually this part is at the moment our large screen, right? So what I will do is I will copy that stuff. even though that it is correct, but I would like to have that as our desktop, that we don't forget that. And now what I want to do is, instead of having that padding here everywhere, I would like to create a width and then set it in the center of the parts. I don't know if this is possible that easily, but let's see. So we have currently created in the Jumbotron, I think, this symmetric horizontal padding that I would like to get rid of. And where did we also do it? I think in the navigation bar. And here we had somewhere this part here, also with the padding. So, Yep, this is exactly what I want to do. A width of 3000, the content is in the middle with the max width, exactly. So that would be like any other, I don't know, is there a good website that I know right now that does that? Like, do we have a good example? This is full width, full width. I think that page does it. So yeah, here, if I'm, for example, go a bit outside, so you can see the content is always here centered with a specific width, no matter how far I am with it. So I think that would be the part. Riverpod website does it all too, so let's go there. I think that is the better example then. So you see, the content here is always in that part, and now that I see it, the navigation bar makes a problem there. But actually we have the content always here inside, and left and right we have always the same space around. And this is what I would like to achieve also on our website. So let's see, how can we do that? Well, in CSS, what I would do is I would set this content space that we have, so the width of the content, and then I would just make margin auto. So I would center it. And let's see how we can solve the problem here in Flutter. We have now done everything on the left, right? Our image has some space here on the left. That is the problem, why it's not completely left. Or do we have here also some padding? I have to check that. The image asset, no, it doesn't have any padding. All right, so now how large would be our content? Let's assume we have now this size, so it would be like 1200 pixels max. How would we do that? This container is for our whole navigation bar. So this is the whole part up here. And the content of this navigation bar would be now 1200 pixel width. So that would be the first row, I assume. So why do we have anyway twice the row? Because we wanted to push something on the bottom, on the back here, but we don't have that anymore. So what I will do is I think, remove this one. Yeah, you can make a widget which will show a child the content. Yep, so exactly. So we have at the moment our home screen. And I think the content would be in home content at the end. So at least this is what I would like to see. So instead of having that footer and spacer down here, it would be part of that home content down here then at the end. But this is only a, yeah. Have to think about it, because the home content is part of a column. And instead of a spacer, we could add here also an expanded surrounding it. But let me think first before I do something. So we have that width that we want to create. And for that inner part, that should be no problem. And that footer, we have to remove first the, where is it? Here. We have to remove the margin, I think. And what we also want to get rid of, that it has 100% of the width. It gets it automatically because it is a row. Okay. So now everything has that 100% of the width, right? And actually what we want to have is that this home screen, this column actually should only have a width of 1200, for example. So with all the children. not a column. But what we could do is we could pass here a container inside and give that a width of 1200, for example. This is just a to-do and an example. So, and as you see on the right side, we have now some space. And the only problem that I see is that the navigation bar gets cut off. So we have to do there something differently. And now what we want to do is for all the bodies together. Yeah, I think that makes more sense. So you mean instead of having this container, we would create something like a content. I will write that for now down, like content container. And this content container, you can have a common widget for all bodies together, so you don't have to specify. So instead of this, you would make that around the responsive widget. Okay, got it. Thank you. So the width would be 1200, which now moves everything to the left, right? And now everything needs to be centered. And how can we solve that? I think by the easiest way would be that this column is main axis, so the cross-axis alignment would be centered. Let's see if this works. Or I wrap it in a center, could also work. Avoid redundant arguments. Is it really redundant? It is really redundant. Okay, so but wait. The problem is that this container is now 1200, but the problem is that everything inside doesn't get all the parts. So I think that center could make sense, right? If we center this part, yeah, now we move everything inside. Raw default with, yep. You mean column, I think, or? But that worked very well. So now we centered it. The only problem is that the navbar don't do what I want to do. So in my opinion, we should behave the navbar a little bit differently. So how can we do that? This navigation bar would then be somehow outside of that stuff. So we have the center, we have that container that has the space. So instead of doing this, yeah, but then we have to make it general again. The good thing is it works for the footer and for this part, but I would like to have the navigation header running completely through the whole part. But the content of the navigation header should then be also behave the same again. So I think this navigation bar would be something special that would behave special. It will be not just part of the responsive widget in that case. So this container, you mean? I will check. So it makes it smaller, that's something. The only problem is now with that container, I see the problem. Okay, the problem is now that it only works for desktop, right? So for mobile it wouldn't work anymore. On the other hand, overflow box. We could also add that to the responsive widget, or not? Yes, but the thing is, because there is not enough space for 1200 at the maximum, yeah, so we can also do that. That should be also no problem. That is the max width, right? And this will be the constraints. So we need to have box constraints with a max width of 1200. This is a const. But it doesn't change anything from the behavior, right? Hmm. Instead of the container, you would like to use the constraint box. We can also try that. That would be a change of here. So this would be a constraint box. And this has a constraints with a box constraint, which behaves exactly the same, I think. So let's see. Which is also const. Voila. And it behaves exactly the same. Yeah, so it is actually the same thing like the container with the constraints inside, right? A constraint box, I think. If you take a look here inside and searching for the build method, we will find somewhere. It's not a build part. Wait, is that not a widget? Single child render object? This has a child, it has constraints. Unconstrained box. That's interesting. But yeah, so this is one option how you get this max part here inside. It is a bit different. It looks like it is more performant because it doesn't create a whole container surrounding it. So that's fantastic. No. Okay, so with that we have the benefit that this is against the const. Hey Rambo, nice and welcome to the Flutter family, Flutter Explained family. So we have our responsive widget, we have the column. Now the problem is that the navigation bar should have also this constraint box with that part inside. And actually this should be outside of this. I don't know if this is a good solution, but what we could do is wrap that part as in a column. Now again, we have, wait, I do that differently. We have here add the column, and inside of the children we put that on top. And now we could get rid of that too. So, but this would only work inside where we have every time the navigation bar. And it doesn't work. Most likely because I have now an, yeah, here we go. Stop. So we have an overflow problem that is most likely generated because I create a column inside of a column. So this center is wrapped in an expanded. And voila. Does also not work. Yep. Stop. Where's the problem? So in home screen, line 15. Okay. So we create this expanded, which is centered, constraint box, max width of 1200, but the height is infinity, right? So where's the problem? I think the center should be fine because of the expanded, so it will use as much space as it can. The navigation bar will be full width. What I will do is now a hot reload, quiet, but this doesn't help, unfortunately. So something doesn't has a size, so that makes sense, but what exactly? Line 12, line 10. This column here. But should this column not take always the full width of the whole screen? Nah. Home content. Yeah, I assume that one of them has an unrestrained size, right? So if we give that, for example, a max height of 100, it would be maybe a bit happier. No, still not. So this column should be fine. What happens here inside? We create this Jumbotron, but both of them have also a flex with the row. So that should be okay. The navigation bar, what has it inside? It has a row. For me it is easier because I can use hot reload, and hot reload makes it way easier, and sometimes the web app does not allow hot reload, and it's pretty hard to fix that. So what I will do is now adding a sized box just to check if we have the problem here. So it's just debugging purposes at the moment. Sort child property, yeah, so child at the end. Okay, do we still get the error? It looks better. So it complains about this overflow, but it seems that this navigation bar makes the problem. Okay, fantastic. Good that we know that. So if we remove that now, let's check why is that the case. So can we use here flexible? Yeah, we can. So, and now it complains because of the, no. Why does it not take as much space as it's needed? Interesting. Okay, so let's have the Flutter Inspector running and click on the blue icon and just have a look where we are. So some element here, the center is pushing it to the center, that's fine. But something is cutting off the bottom. So where does it come from? We lose 98 pixels from the bottom on line 20 of the home screen. So that part here. Not quite, Rodrigo. I would say the desktop development has the benefit that I can hot reload quicker and we have a way more performant way to do it. The only problem in web is at the moment that hot reload and hot restart sometimes don't work actually. And there is also an open issue for that on GitHub. So that is the reason why I work here on Flutter Desktop and then push it on Flutter Web. So my final release will be Flutter Web. And as you see, it works nearly the same. But for development purposes, I would recommend you to work on a real device, so like a tablet or on macOS or whatever. I tried it in the beginning of that stream, so if you want to take a look, I think the first session of this stream I used Flutter Web and it always, yeah, died somewhere in between. You're welcome. Here I see right now a problem with const, so I will use that. 0xf, f. Fantastic. So, and we have that flexible, and this is happy, it works well, but this down here makes some problems. So is that expanded a problem? What happens now? That's broken, okay. Okay, let's kill the application for a second and restart it. Maybe that helps. It's always a hassle if you have a lot of container columns and columns in each other. If you once come into the problem that you don't see anything anymore on the screen, then I find it very hard. Why is that a problem? Of axis vertical, the edge of render flags that is overflowing. Okay. So it has the orientation axis vertical. A flex factor expanded widget to force the children of the render flex to fit within their viable space instead of being sized to the natural size. Okay, so I assume one of them, like the home content, has currently an expanded with a row, right? So this is a container and it lives inside of a column. So I would say this home content should be expandable. Like that. And we don't need a spacer actually for that. So if we add here an expanded, how does it look? Aha, alright. So that looks way better. And now I want to push it on the bottom, so let's get back our spacer. On spacer. Oh, why is it not taking the full space? So it seems that the content takes 100% of the space. So somewhere is the height of this column is the height not 100%. So this is expanded and flexible. This is the column. And it seems this column doesn't take the container, the full space. So can we say here, for example, double infinity? No. Very weird. So I don't see the problem right now. Too many flexibles and everything. What would happen if we do that as an expanded? Okay, that is wrong. But this part doesn't take the space that it's needing, and also that part not. And it's getting cut off. But this column... We have the responsive widget, the max width, that is fine. Let me activate once more this outline here. And we see this is the spacer, that's fine. But this does take too less space somehow. Well, the constraint box doesn't do anything actually. Or at least it doesn't change anything. So as you see, it's getting still small, which is perfectly fine. And with the width of 1000, if we are bigger than, or if we are bigger than 1200 pixels, currently we cut off on the left side and the right side, and we pushed everything to the middle. Exactly, this black line here should be always on the bottom of the screen, and now it works a little bit better, but as soon as I add a spacer in between these two, thinking if it does something with the height of passing down. I think so too. Because now if we have a spacer, the whole part from the content takes some has only a certain amount of space. And I have the feeling that it has something to do with the box constraints, but I could give a min height. But who knows if this has a factor for that. Let's see, hot reload. Nope, nothing happens. Max height. Nope. So this is redundant, yeah. No. So this responsive widget has a column. Currently we have an expanded for the whole home content. So this part here, that container, gets 100%. So this part here should be expanded to the full width. So what is I saying here? Double infinity. So this container should be full height. Nothing. So now we have crashed it again. Okay, so if there is no height specified for this center widget, it drives crazy. What is if we remove that center here? Okay, nothing happens, still problems. So yep, it tries to repaint all the time. So I remove now all the parts. Okay, still not visible. Okay, but this means that it has nothing to do with these elements. It has something to do with the below things. Wow. Yep. So. We have that const, we have expanded. Is there not a widget that has to stick on the bottom? Yeah, this is the footer part here that I want to have on the bottom. Maybe, wait, maybe this is the problem. Maybe we don't even need here an expanded, maybe we don't even need a column. Maybe this footer should be always on the bottom, so we take that footer outside. Or a persisted footer buttons property in scaffold. Bottom. I like the way you think. Okay, maybe I have found a problem here. So when we remove that footer here, because if we want to push that footer down to the bottom, we have now the navigation bar, and this footer should be not part of it. But then what is the benefit of that constraint part? We would have that constraint and center part nearly in different places. So we should create a widget for that, I think. Let me think. So what happens if we create this? I have an idea. So we create, sorry for that. So we create a stateless widget, which we call, I don't know, a constraint widget. So this constraint widget will have our center and constraint box inside. So center, oops, center and our constraint box. Yep. That is a perfect idea. I think you brought me on an idea, Stefan, so that's fantastic. So we have a constraint widget. This has a constraint, what is it? Constraint, no, not constraint widget. Constraint box, I think is the name. And then here inside we have the constraints, which are box constraints. And here we have our max width of 1200 at the moment. This can change, of course, and we will have to think of that. We can even pass it down, I think. So this would have like a max width, which is it a double? No, an int. So and this will be used down here. Yeah, we can't do it as a const then, because we get it down here. This is final. Oh, you do? Perfect. This needs to be a double. That's okay. And this needs a constructor. Yeah, the problem is most likely that you don't have scaled it so high, because on my computer the scaling is very high here, as you can see. And with that, it's getting very hard to get these 1600. I can do that also, but at the moment it's pretty hard for me. So I stick with 1200 for now. So, and this constraint widget, or what, do you have a better name for it? I would be happy. So we can use that as a child here, and we would remove this part here. Yeah. And this constraint widget should have, of course, a child. So we need here also a final widget child, which is inside of this constraint box. We have not only a constraint, we have also a child. No cheating. and this is required. Alright, so yeah, especially with Mac, with bigger Macs, you like the Mac desktop or something, there you have so much space, so usually there is no problem to have something like that. And the max width is 2200 for now. Or let's make it 1000 just to see it visible. Max width container. Alright, there's my name in it, this I will buy. Max width container. Yeah, keep it. It's okay. All right, so we see now the space here on the left and the right, which is fine. So as long as we scroll. Okay, so, and now my idea was a different one. My idea was that we remove that footer out of that, because the footer will be part of that column here. So we have that, we have children, and this will be part of here. Hey Rahul, nice to see you. And even though that the space is now not enough, we would just wrap this footer here in the same thing. So we call that again max width container, which has again the child and the max. And because I am lazy, I will remove the max width here and give that the default one of 1000. So like that. So with that, we can now work here. And another problem is now that we have to make the spacer again, which is here in that area. So this is const spacer. Damn it. I think we can remove these expandeds now here and there. Give it a position in relationship to the screen size. Yeah, the problem is that is actually the benefit that we usually have, right? That with the spacer and so on, we don't have to give any fixed positions, because this is the idea of responsive design, that we don't really rely on fixed values there. So I know it makes the stuff complicated, but this is usually the idea. So I think I will not do that yet. Sorry. And if you place it in a stack, yeah, that could also work, but it has the same problem. In a stack, we have to do a lot of calculations to make it right. What would be if we have the spacer down here? Nothing. Why is that such a problem? I don't really understand it. So we have, we have that expanded here, which gets now 1, this spacer gets 1, and with that, this flex is 1. I have an idea. So that problem is with the spacer. Ah, now I got it. Okay. So the problem is the spacer takes way too much space. And but without spacer, we also lose height. Okay, I found the problem. And it was nearly there where I searched it. So we had this flexible. And I don't know if you know it, but if we think about flex, so if you search, for example, Flexbox, which is my favorite understanding of CSS. So flex, by the way, if you search something for CSS stuff, CSS Tricks is a fantastic page there. So what happens with flex? It behaves nearly the same like row and columns, but flex gets a strong thing. And what I found right now, what my problem is that this layout here got a flex. So flexible has flex. And flex it gives every element that is flexible a number that you can choose freely, and it will divide the width of the 100% divided by this flex and gives every element this amount of space. So because this was a flexible, you can see that this part here is now a level of 1, and even if it doesn't need it, and somehow this one got also 1. because it is an expanded, right? It will take the rest. So this gets 1 and this gets whatever is underneath, so the rest. And because of that, this is 1, this gets the rest, and because this is 1, I think that it was somehow calculated, and that destroys the layout. So if I remove that flexible here, we can see that now, because this is not 1 anymore, the rest of the screen size will get taken from that part inside and works now. So that was a weird problem that I would not find that easily again. And what we also have to do, that max width container needs now to be inside of the navigation bar. So inside of the navigation bar, we find inside of here the container. And I think it's the row here. And this has to be max width container. Good. So now we managed it that the navigation bar here on the side is 100%. Without any issues, and I think I have a cool screen brush for that. So let's use that. Show screen brush, click. So this part here and this part here is 100% of the screen. Go away. And so that means this here is aligned, hopefully. Okay, not completely because that logo has a bit of space inside, but this is nearly aligned now, which is fantastic, and also aligned with that down here. And if we get rid of the, okay, can I? Sorry, I have to fight with the screen brush. No. We quit it again. Now if we make it smaller, and thanks to the idea of Robert, now it is getting pushed completely to the side, and it takes all the full width of the space that it gets. So now we are coming closer to our goal. And the good thing is about this max width container that we have currently here, we will extract that now into an own widget. So here inside of widgets, we have now the max width container.dart. And we can pass that here inside and import material widgets in that case. I think that should be enough, exactly. And put that to 1200. And we can import here the max width container into the different screens where we need it. And most likely we will use it more often now, because what we've done is we want to use that everywhere where we have a screen size that is bigger than 1200. Okay, so that was quite a challenge. Maybe that footer bars should get some space on the bottom. I don't know, it looks a bit ugly down there. But this container gets a short margin. Yeah, I don't know why it felt so hard for me today, but I should be already used to these problems. But sometimes just searching for the wrong ideas. Good. No coffee, that is very true. Alright, so we have the animation, we have that added, and I think this will be now a good place where we can make a new branch. Yeah, that's true. So the new branch is the, what did we do actually? We improved responsiveness. And what I also want to do is, because Robert already started with it, we want to write a test at least for that max width container, because yeah, it shouldn't be too hard to test. So here we create our file max width container test.dart. And the cool thing now, if we use, for example, IntelliJ, we can now use Command Shift and T, and we jump between the write file and the testing file back and forth. And I think some of my colleagues can also say you the commands for Visual Studio Code. So we have a void main, which is the starting point of the tests, a group. I will use here that I prepared already. So the group will be max width container. You remove the class name of the widget. Uh-oh. Oh yeah, thank you. It was on purpose, of course. Should only allow a certain amount of width. Yeah, fantastic. So we import the test from Flutter test, and this should be test widgets, and we receive a tester down here. Good. Missing return. Okay, return null. And now we should ready to be writing our first test. In the last episode, we learned that how we can create these live templates for group and so on. And I highly recommend you to do that if you write a lot of tests, because you will use them a lot of times. And I think we can nearly use exactly what you did here already. So I am that free and I will just copy the stuff that you did, because especially that physical size test value, I think that is exactly what we need at the end. I will copy these two, bring them here also inside, and let's assume we have the size starts with, so we have to import one of the parts here. What do we take? Is painting bigger or rendering? I will take painting for now. And in size we will find the double width. So if this is let's say it is 3200, so it is very large, then actually our material part should be only 3200, should be still a width from 1200. This is what we want to test. So at teardown, clear physical size value. Okay, so we need that, I assume. Okay. Good. What do we have else? Now you create the tester, you get a material part. This is also fine. I take that with me. So this pumps now a new widget. We have here an asynchronous method. That's okay. And now we have material app. So we have any way to import material, which means I will remove here up here the main painting. And instead of a responsive widget, we have our max width container. I'm sorry. And here we have a child, which can be anything, actually. So if we just have a container, that should be already good enough. Does it not work? It's not, isn't a const constructor. So this is not a const constructor. I just have to do it here. No, also not. Why does that have to be a const constructor? The constructor being called is not a const constructor. Okay. So let's Google that problem. I think there is most likely a solution for that. Try removing const from the constructor invocation. But why? Can I not use that everywhere? So container is not the proper thing to use? We have here, for example, the footer, which is then a container again. So does it mean if we use anything else, then it works fine? So if we use the footer, for example? No? Because we don't have imported it. Ah, this is the problem. Jeez. Okay, got it. Got it, got it, got it. Now we have a container, and this container shouldn't be possible to be larger than 1200 pixels. Is that a good example? Maybe I wrap that also in the center. So, and if we now search for, we have a find, right? And this find needs to grab the container here inside. And then we want to check the width of that. So find dot widget or find by widget container. No, find by widget. So we have the tester dot get widget, I thought, or get size is a good part, where we have to find inside, which is then that with the find widget, or find by type is better, I think, by type, which is then the container. Or better the center maybe? Yeah, maybe the center is better in that case, because if we search for a container, it is highly, it is possible that it finds the container here inside. So if it has a container, or if this material app has a container somewhere, it could be that it uses that one. Same for the center, actually. Let's try it with the container, and if it doesn't work, then we fix it. And now we expect that the received size that we get here, so we get here size, size.width, cannot be higher than 1200, right? Final, yeah. So that looks pretty good. Let's see if that test is running fine. That is surprisingly well. Now we have to check if that is also correct. So if I do it bigger and we run our test once more. Now we expect 1300, but we receive 1200. All right, so that is fantastic. We get our error that we expected. This is pretty good. We can get rid of this. Jumping a bit too deep in the stuff, but that's fine. And of course, we should have at least one test that is a bit smaller, just to make sure that everything else is still intact, right? I find it interesting that you write everywhere act and so on inside as a command, as a how do you call it, comment? Assert, add, no, assemble, act, assert. I think that sounds like the German principle called EFA, which is enter something, then after that act and do it. So I think that's fine. Where do you have that convention from? Is that something that is specified? Should you do that? Is that something? Because that would be the same, like we have here assemble, which I write wrong, of course. Then we have here our act, and here our, what was it, assert? Yeah. Cool. So we keep the same conventions if we start with one. Max with container could be also written together because that is the class name, right? And we would have at least 1 second test that would do exactly the same, but test against a smaller device, right? So what I will do is I copy the whole thing, and everything that we need the same way, like we need, for example, this part here the same way. So I put that in the group setup, and inside of this body, I want to have that part here because it's always the same. The problem is, we don't have access to the tester. So forget what I told you. So we have all that stuff together, and now we have a physical device which is way smaller, like 800. Now we pump our widget, and what we expect is that this part is also 800 and not bigger. So run. And this looks good. Now let's break it. Ah, you got it from work, okay. And 1000 with 800. I think I saw it from a colleague in New Zealand who is also doing it the same way. And there was it the first time that I saw it. It's just new for me that you always write it inside of the tests, but that's okay. And I can live with that. Cool. So we have tested something, which is fantastic. We test anyway way too less. And with that, we have now the opportunity to make that smaller and bigger. And the only thing is that I would like to add is also having here a little bit more space so that this stuff can breathe in the smaller screens. But I think we can do that later on. Good. So with all these information, with all that new stuff, I think we commit again, right? So we added, I think I wrote already a commit message, right? We made the whole thing a bit more responsive. Home screen more responsive, and added tests for the Macs with container. Which is perfect, I think. The only thing that would I like to maybe change in your tests sooner or later is the naming convention for the tests itself, but we can talk about that in a second. Wait, good. So if we take a look quickly inside of the responsive widget and search for the tests, what I always do for my tests is I write in front of it should. So usually I have here something like should do something, but in that case I'm pretty happy with it. I don't mind too much. Given mobile body is used for contain mobile text widgets. Yeah, fair enough. And so we have a lot of tests running, and the good thing is if we are running now Flutter test, for example, where are we here? Okay, it understood me. So one test is failing, and this is also a good point. This widget test that we have here in the global room is at the moment broken because there is no new stuff inside. So I will also remove that. Or widget unused test. Good. So, next area of work. I would like to get rid of this little gap here between the background image and the nav bar. And I know that we created this part because when I think about, here we don't need a column, right? Let me delete that and let's see how it looks. Huh. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so it doesn't start anymore on the top, which is fair enough. I think that comes from that container part here inside the row. And this container doesn't start at the beginning on top. Exactly, Robert. So that's why I'm happy with your change. It's just something that I use, or I'm getting used from my work usually, that I ask with should, because then you get this, you can read what this thing should, so it's more like readable for the business if they ask you some questions. So we have that responsive widget, we have that max width, that is fantastic, and we have that home content now. And the home content is now just in the center of everything. And I would like to put that on top to the highest part. So this expanded here. What would happen if I remove it? Okay, That would be okay, we have it on top. And what would happen if I now get inside of here just a spacer? Fair enough, let's work like that. It looks much better, easy. Sometimes the easiest solutions. And you see now we have also less code here, so that's pretty cool. I like that. And the only thing is, what I could imagine is that we shouldn't have this home content part now. We should maybe rename that to, yeah, right, it's way easier. So this home content, I would change that naming here to desktop or home. Is home desktop a good name? The thing is, let's assume we would have all three of them, right? We have the desktop body, we have the mobile body, and the tablet body. And at the moment we will pass always the home content inside. So when we make it smaller, it will be always the home content. And I think it would be better if we have like 3 different possibilities there. Yeah, but I'm pretty happy with that now, and we can change that later. So last step that I want to take today is that gap, as I said. But you see that refactoring is always in my head. So whenever I start something and I see it, I think in the Flutter team they call it shave the yak or something like that. So it means whenever you see something that is a problem, try to solve it as soon as you see it. I know it's always a bit confusing because actually this is not where we work at the moment. So I would maybe create an own branch for that and would create an own commit for that so that it is really related to a single purpose. But in our case, because yeah, I'm still working a little bit in test mode, so everything comes into one branch and later we merge it together so that we don't have always that stuff. So we improved the widget tree. Yep. And here we have now this possibility. I changed quickly the music, sorry. Way better, some ambiente. Yeah, and now we go to the navigation bar. And here, hey Alice, welcome to the Flutter Explained family. And here we have our navbar box decoration. And I think we added here that small margin. And this small margin was there to preserve our shadow. And the problem is, if we take a look down here, we see actually this shadow. It is only that this box here and this image getting covered by it. And I think the cover, the image itself has again a white background. So let's have a look here first. So if we take a look at the background JPEG, no, not this one. This can be anyway deleted. We don't need that. This background image is white in the background. And this has a big disadvantage because this white background overlays it. So that means if these blue things would cut off the shadow, I wouldn't even have a problem with that. Leave it better than you found it, we use in our team at work. Leave it better than you found it, we use in our team at work. Okay. And the other thing is we have here a container, and this container is also white in the background color. And what we could do is we could get rid of the one, I think we have the K background decoration, and this has a specific color which is white. What is if I remove that white color? And now it's getting funny because nothing changed. What is the problem? Cannot open path, images, background, JPEG. No such file or directory. Oh, we used it somewhere? No. Wait, we stop everything for a second and restart our application. And then let's have a look. So we don't have the white background, we have the BG image. And now I want to take a look if we get a little bit of the shadow back. Because the last time we tried to made a stack where we put all the containers, everything on top of it, or underneath it. So that means we could scroll it upwards. And that was one option, but I didn't really like that because then we have a lot of stuff that we have to do. And instead of making it white, we can try to make here a 0, 0, which is transparent. Maybe this works. Did it do it? No, unfortunately not. Do we really have to create a stack for that? It sounds so weird. So we have the Jumbotron, and the Jumbotron has also maybe some color. There's a constraint box, okay. Max height of 400, so this part is max height of 400. Do we really need this information? No, also not necessary. At least I think. So if we reload, no, it looks good. Okay. So we have our column with the center and start. Okay. Here's going that with the column. Okay. So the question is, where comes the white background from? Is it part of that fitted box? But the fitted, could be. So let's have a look. If we are checking our Flutter Inspector, and I want to select the, I think we don't have to select it here, that fitted box here. No, it should be something different, right? So if we select that, and I want to select this part here, it is a row. Okay, so where are you? Here. And this row is that part here. So, but a row doesn't have a color, right? So I thought when I give that background color, or that background color of the box decoration here, an empty color, or an how do you call it? A zero opacity, we would get rid of that. So the problem that I think we have is that here we overlay that somehow. So one option would be that we push that part here a little bit down. So we could give that a margin on top. Only top from 8 pixels. Welcome! I love new viewers. Happy to see you here. Let's see if you get something from that whole live stream and my talking all the time. So if you learn something, I'm happy. Okay, so we managed it to push that a bit down, but unfortunately this part should not be part of it. Hey Nicole, nice to see you. So this home content is a bit too far. We want to push that Jumbotron actually. So this one should get a padding. No, not a padding. It should get a container with a margin. So. Did that work? Matab is on the run. She has today some, we having wedding preparations at the moment. So she's going and check out his wedding dress. So hope the best. So we have that container. We have created a margin on top of this column, but it doesn't work. Sad. I think because of the home content, and this whole container is overlaying it. Yeah, I am not allowed to see the wedding dress before the wedding. That's like that mythos here in Germany. So has this box decoration any other kind of color that we don't know about? So I have a better idea. What I can do is I can give that, as we said, a margin on the top. only a top like 8 pixels, right? We make that a const. And now what I can do is, because that is white anyway, I could move the picture a little bit down, right? So that it doesn't get so cut off like we do it at the moment. So this background image could be a bit lower again. So I think we have that somewhere in Photoshop. Or even better, we don't even create a background image for that stuff. So here we are. And these 3 rectangles could be moved a little bit lower, like that, like so. And I think what we also could do is that background here should be not a background, it should be just empty. So good old nothing. So we export it as a PNG. And we bring that also to our folder in the project. Yes, I did that. So here. Ah, wait. Yeah, but it would still cut it off. So we have to do it like that. I think that could work. So web, no. Assets, images, and save. Sorry for that. I think the problem is that we have also a small delay. So I'm sometimes way quicker just because I already thought the same. Which is good, it verifies that you made it correct or that you had the correct idea. So, and here in the home content, I like it also that we have now the found some solutions for that together. So here we rename the thing, because without you I would never thought about this flex problem that I had before in mind. So I think as a team we are working way better everywhere. So we can close off Photoshop again because it's just taking a lot of resources. And let's see if we update the image now. So this gets some errors, that makes sense. Close it, reload. And then let's see what is the result of it. I hope so. I mean, we have the best community so far. At least the best one that I know so far. To be honest, it's always a new feature for me because I have no idea about community working and also not with social media working and so on. So it's quite interesting how the stuff changes at the moment. So interesting. Somehow it's getting cut off on the bottom now, and I don't know why. And it's getting cut off on the top. Both of them are not perfect. So where this comes from now? So that hero image behaves somehow strange. Number one, it is code thinking. This is okay. But this background image that we have here, the background image is here separated. And it has, maybe we has it with a cover. But also this would not help, right? Yes, sure. Where does this height come from? We have that Jumbotron, that container. What I'm very happy now is that we created this meetups here in Karlsruhe, because we had a long-term meetup group here from Flutter, but they were completely inactive since 8 months or something. So we decided now to create our own. First we overtook the old one, but then there was, because Meetup said something like, hey, he's inactive, they want to have a new one. So we ticked it over. And as soon as we had the problem there, we had this debug paint size enabled true. Where do I put that? That sounds like something we would do in a scaffold, right? So we have here the container, so the scaffold will be up here. Debug, no. In a main? In a main? So in main itself, like here? Show material grid, no. Show paint size enabled. Show paint size enabled. Performance overlay, semantics debugger. Before run app. Okay. What is that? Never heard about this property. Causes each render box to paint a box around its bounds. Oh, cool. So let's see. Now I have to completely restart the application, I assume. And we choose macOS. Thank you, Alice. Let's have a look. It's pretty cool. We're coming closer and closer, and we learn every day something new. Ah. Okay, so it's the same thing like the outline, right? So if we activate this Flutter Inspector here with the outline, it is exactly the same. Okay. Alright, so we get the gap, but somehow... Ah, yeah, but we see here that the container up here is small, right? So let's have a look. That container comes from our home content. This is that container, and it doesn't get the full width, full height. So that means inside of that, this home content, navigation bar, max width container with a spacer. I would love to give again expanded here in that area, but I have the bad feeling that it doesn't work. Ah, it works. It works, yeah, sure. And this is a row. Ah, yeah. Yep, I have an idea. So this row, instead of starting, wait, row, main axis, cross axis. Okay, so cross axis should be at the start. Oh. I really hope that would solve the problem. So that was close enough. The Jumbotron should start at... here we pass the main axis as a center. Can we remove that? And we start at the top. That is what I want to see. And now the only problem is that this background image is a bit too big. But fantastic, with that we found some solutions for our different problems. I'll remove this debug for now because it's a bit too noisy. Here we go. Okay, so that worked well. We have now finally enough space for everything. This is at the right position. We could make that in the center, but we have full space on that. And now inside of our content, we have that asset image, which is our background. And currently we make here cover. And now we have to see which one of them would suit our things best. Fit width, fit height, fill, contain. I have no idea. So that would be maybe not too bad. And also we would like that this one is starting also on top. So that hero image here currently is, no, not the hero image. It is that box decoration. Let's have a look how the Adobe XD works. So this is our solution here. So we would like to have these notches cutting off the shadow, but only at the part. I'm close to think that it would make sense to create 3 stacks, so a stack with 3 containers for that, and then bring that in. I think that would be easier than a background image at the moment. But let's see. Wow, Tim is really active today. So let's see. No, the problem is that our background image at the moment, we have to change it once more. I'm sorry for that. The stack would be also a solution. I think it would be also the cleaner solution at the moment. But for now, we just move them, and we want to move them on the top. Like so, for example. Maybe a bit higher even. So, and with that, quick export as a PNG. We would have more control over them, but we would have to create code for them. So I don't know which one is better yet. So, but if we have to do it once more, then I will create a stack for it. Promise. So we're assets, I think, images, and BG image PNG. Fantastic. Replace. Good. And remove that. Now this will complain most likely. So we restart. And that would solve the next problem, I think. And slowly it's getting better and better. The problem is again the margin. Okay, what happens? Okay, I removed the margin once more, and this works exactly like I wanted. Because we have the margin on the left side, but we don't have it on the right side. And because the background image is now invisible, we have that shadow down here. I think it's super hard to see, so I don't know if I can scroll to it. No. I did try Supernova already, but currently I just want to learn to program. So Supernova is always good if you want to right away have a production app. And because all that YouTube stream here is a little bit monetized, or at least very close to monetization or something, so I'm always careful if you want to use something with like Supernova inside of here. I can test that once, maybe in a video I will talk about it, because it is a pretty cool tool, and it's really, I think Supernova was the name, right? And I think they announced it also in the Google I/O, I think 2019 was it part of it. And with that you can create a complete, was there not an online tool? I thought it is this online tool somewhere. And you get like UI creations with code and everything, and it is way mightier than, for example, Adobe XD to Flutter. So pretty cool tool. Okay, so we have running that works. This looks pretty good. All in one place. We could move that to the right, but I think that is something for the future. That is not so important yet. What I will do is I will run Flutter build again. Web. And I would say we once more commit everything to our website. So what did we do now? We fixed the background image and improved the widget tree again. Review for problems. We have an unused package. Okay. To-dos are fine. We need them anyway. And we can push. Are you anyway interested more in my shortcuts from the keyboard? Should I maybe make some overlay or something that you can always see my shortcuts that I enter? Because I have sometimes the feeling a lot of magic happens in the meantime. And now in the terminal we build for web. That worked. And what I will do is going back to our build folder, web, and copy all these informations over to our new file. So we open up once more the MD Weber GitHub IO in a new window. And here in the project, we will copy that inside. Override for all. And add. Isn't it magic? Not really, no. It is just keyboard shortcuts. So we have that stuff inside. We have the Flutter service workers that are getting updated. The Dart.js looks funky and minified. That's cool. And now let's push the whole thing. So, up. So let's see if we reload this page. Not quite. I think we should wait a second till it arrived. Or I think if we open up a new private browser somewhere, then it will work immediately. Nope, still not. Okay, it will take a second. So if we check for mdweber.github.io, we find now all the information up here. And that's pretty cool. So 36 seconds ago, I think it will take a second. You see there's that yellow dot, which pushes everything to that. So you would like to see them in VSC. All right, I can maybe make a map or something where I explain all the different key mappings there. You think in IntelliJ we have that? Or show keyboard key shortcuts. So I currently use that key prompter, which whenever I don't use a key, then I get a message, and you can see which I don't use so often, like Command B, which is you jump into a declaration. Yeah, and so you will find them for VSC. That's fine. I think whenever you have a problem in VSC, F1 will help you, because you get like that, you can enter any command. It's like in IntelliJ Command-Shift-A, where you get all the commands where you can search inside. And yeah. So, okay, we closed that off. And the website. So how does it look like? Is it still all checks successful? So reload. And it is deployed. You can see that on the green circle here. And if we go now to the website. Hey, come on. Deployed. I know it. Here we go. So we have the new version here. And that's pretty cool, I think. It's not quite there yet, and we don't have all the functionalities that we need, because we still have to import or have to create somehow a block possibility, right? So I would like to have, on one hand, we could just have the link. So if I click here, we see that I'm jumping right away to the DevTO part. You liked, fantastic. And the alternative is that we, for the future, create really a headless block. So this is the idea from that whole thing, so that we can work, for example, with Storyblock, or I think, no, we decided for something else. It was Strappy. So we can see there is an open source headless Node.js part, which should be for free. Yep. So content types, everything is there, all for free. And what we will do is we create an account here together and work then with Strappy to get our content, like blog or something, from Strappy right away to our Flutter website. So this is the idea. I hope in here we have the Strappy. Yeah. So there is also an HTTP client for Strappy. So we will have to take a look here, even though that it looks like a bit unsupported with 0.3. Okay, so maybe we even create our own package for that. So let's see. It's also not really maintained. Okay, fantastic. Then we can work there together on that. Good. So that's this part. I think that's it for today. Do you have any questions, something that you want to ask me before we finish off the stream? I will add also the two documents once more. So this is doc website, where you can add also some features that you are interested in. So you will, can add them as a comment. And the FAQ, where we have all the informations that you are maybe interested in general. What I will do for the next time, as I said already, is I will transfer off screen the tasks that we have inside of the document into the website. So if we search for Flutter Explained website, Content exists also. What is content? The next live is planned for Saturday, actually. So I think at Saturday or maybe on Friday if I find some time in between. But this will be like a ad hoc stream, which sometimes is a bit, yeah. I'm not so professional there yet, so to have like fixed plans. But usually it's Saturday and they're at 3 p.m. in CST. So we have improved responsiveness, exactly. Oh, we could also compare and make the pull requests. I think that makes sense here. So improve responsiveness, added an, how do you call this, hero image? And what I will do is I add, no, I can't add someone. We have the label enhancement and yeah, so create. And we have again 15 files, which is a lot to change, but that's okay for now. And if you have some comments or information that I should have here, you can add them here. And I think that's it for today. And as I said, the next time we will have all the informations about what we want to do next here inside of the projects. And the benefit of that is that we have then also issue numbers. So when we make, as Stefan announced, that we maybe have at the beginning of a stream a poll, what we should do next, then I have here a lot of issues and we can then just have the numbers and you can vote for them. So I hope you learned something. And it was fantastic to work with you together. Thank you so much, Robert and Stefan and all the others who helped me today. That was really amazing. And I think we solved a lot of problems. Thanks, and till the next time, right? See ya, guys.